Okay, so
now, yeah.
okay.
Dinta. Go
Okay, thank you
over
for
for you.
all adjudicators and congratulations to all the participants. Whereas the grand final team and for the third place positions team. Okay, now we can proceed to the next agenda. That is the third place motion release for Iron Debate Competition 2021. For the grand final team, we will see you after the break session, after the third place position. Please, you may leave this room. And if you want to join us, you can see us on YouTube Iron Jakarta at our YouTube channel. So for SMAK Santo Louis 1 Surabaya and SMA 2 Jakarta, you may leave this room. And for the committee, you may share the presentation regarding the motion release for third place position Iron Debate Competition 2021.
Excuse me, I want to ask.
Yes, Emily.
So when is the grand final?
The grand final will be held after the break session, approximately maybe at 1 p.m., 1 until 1:15 p.m. But we will announce if there has any further information regarding the final debate sessions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for all. Okay, now for the third place positions team at Iron Debate Competition 2021, SMAN 1 Kotagajah and SMA Quran Darul Fatah, are you here? Okay, SMA Kotagajah, we can see you. For SMA Quran Darul Fatah, are you here?
Yes,
And
Kak.
okay, thank you, SMA Quran Darul Fatah. For committees, can you open the presentation regarding the motion release? Kak Rifki, as the committee, can you open the presentation regarding the motion release? Okay, now we have seen the third place position for release motion. Okay, I will proceed for the third place position, Iron Debate Competition 2021, that will be filled from SMA Quran Darul Fatah and SMA 1 Kotagajah Team A. Your motion for this chamber is the motion for third place position is this house believes that prioritizing COVID patient in the hospital helps minimize spread of the virus in Indonesia. I repeat, for third place position, Iron Debate Competition 2021 that will be filled from SMA Quran Darul Fatah and SMAN 1 Kotagajah Team A. Your motion for this third place position is this house believes that prioritizing COVID patients in the hospital helps minimize spread of the virus in Indonesia. Okay, so I would like the committee to spin the school's name to find out which is the government team and which is the opposition team. I would like to remind for all participants that whatever names comes out first is the government team. Okay, you can wait for the committee. The third place position for Iron Debate Competition 2021 is SMA Quran Darul Fatah and SMAN 1 Kotagajah Team A. Okay, we can proceed. For the committee, you may spin the roulette. For the committee, you can spin the roulette. For third place position, Iron Debate Competition 2021 that will be filled from SMA Quran Darul Fatah and SMN 1 Kotagajah Team A. For the government team is SMA 1 Kotagajah Team A. Okay, for SMA 1 Kotagajah Team A, you are the government team. And for the opposition team is SMA Quran Darul Fatah. I repeat, for the government team is SMA 1 Kotagajah Team A, and the opposition team is SMAN Quran Darul Fatah. I would like to ask for the government team, who is your first, second, third, and reply speaker?
Okay, so the first speaker would be Atia Paika, the second speaker would be Ayudhira Balkita, the third speaker would be Niken Harini Putri, and the reply speaker would be Atia Paika again.
Okay, thank you for the government team. Now we can proceed to the opposition team, who is your first, second, third, and reply speaker.
The first speaker is Inas Al-Harir, the second speaker is Safa Azahra, the third speaker is Alia Nadifa, and the reply speaker is Inas Al-Harir. Thank you, Kak.
Okay, thank you for the opposition team. Government team SMA Kotagajah team A and opposition team SMA Quran Darul Fatah for the motions. This house believe that prioritizing COVID patient in the hospital helps minimize spread of the virus in Indonesia. And for that, we can proceed to the moderator. Thank you for all participants. We wish you the best of luck. Thank you and goodbye. For the moderator, the floor is yours. For the moderator, are you audible, Anna Virus?
Okay. Okay, sorry. I will start this competition. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Okay, good morning. Honorable adjudicator and fellow participant, welcome to the third place round of Iron 20 and 21 debate competition. Let me introduce myself. My name is Anna Virus. I'll be acting as your moderator. And wait, sorry.
Okay, maybe I continue the moderator. Okay, guys, your group are completing. Everyone. Okay, now please turn on your camera. Okay. Before we start, I will open this agenda. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable adjudicator and fellow participants, welcome to the third place round of Iron 2021 debate competition. Let me introduce myself. My name is Widya Salsabila Nasid. Will be acting as your moderator, and Syarah Sabrina will be acting as the timekeeper. Okay. In this chamber, wait. Okay. For the government, what is the school of the government?
SMA Negeri 1 Kotagajah.
Who is the first speaker?
The first speaker is Satya Paika, the second speaker is Ayuvira Margita, the third speaker is Nikan Harini Putri, and the replaced speaker is Satya Paika.
Okay, thank you. For the opposition team is what school? SMA Quran Darul Fatah. Is it right?
Right, Kak.
Okay. Who is the first, second, and third speaker?
The first speaker is Inas Al-Harir. The second speaker is Safa Azara. The third speaker is Alia Nadifa, and the reply speaker is Inas Al-Harir. Thank you, Kak.
Okay. Before we start this debate session, all participants will have case building session for 20 minutes. And this will be the moment of silent session where participants cannot unmute themselves until the countdown is over. For the timekeeper, you may start the countdown. May share screen, Shara Sabrina.
Maaf Kak, boleh bertanya?
Ya, silakan.
Boleh sholat dulu nggak Kak? Ada.
Oke, wait 5 minutes. Tunggu sebentar ya.
Oke Kak.
Okay. The time for case building is over. Now, all participants, please turn on the camera. For all debaters, turn on the camera, please. Okay. And for dan tadi untuk pertanyaan sholat, kita mulai dulu ya. Sholatnya kita mulai dulu aja untuk debatnya ya. Okay. Now, I will continue. The motion for this debate is this House believes that prioritizing COVID patients in the hospital helps minimize spread on the virus on Indonesia. I will remind before start the debate or the speech, all debaters may count first like 3, 2, 1 and start the speech. So I would like to remind the time allocation for all speakers that first, second, and third speakers have 7 minutes of speaking and 20 seconds for the stoppage time. The reply speaker will only have 4 minutes of speaking and an additional 20 seconds for stoppage time. POY is done by unmuting microphone, saying POY, and it is required to first be welcomed by the speaker who is presenting the arguments. POY is only allowed 2 times in each argument presentation session with a time allocation of about 20 seconds. The time for POY can be start after the first minute to the 6th minute. Only speakers who is presenting the argument is allowed to answer the interruption. Reply speaker is only for first and second speaker. Okay, to open the debate, I would like to call the first speaker of the government team, Atia Faika. The time is yours.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see that there are many people that have been found infected by COVID-19, and still there are new cases coming up around Indonesian area. And why it become a problem? Because when it comes to severe cases which need to be resolved, going into hospital is much more better choices than just going into a self-isolation. Going into my mechanism in this debate, I will have 4 mechanisms. The first one is only severe cases which have stroke into pneumonia or other severe cases can be hospitalized. The second one is unsevere people must be monitored in a certain places such as the athletic guest house in a closed area with only the infected people and the healthcare. in there, or can be monitored by trusted people with the limits of wearing full personal protective equipment, and they can get self-isolated. And the third one is we will still allow people with ordinary sickness to come and get it treated in the same hospital, but realize we will limit it only just to and we will divide the places of the hospital into the infected one and the uninfected one, so it wouldn't spread much more bigger. And then the last one is that we will only give this chances to only the fully facilitized hospital. Fully facilitized hospital means that they have enough oxygen storage, they have enough protective gowns for their health cares, for example, nurses and also doctors. And then our stance is to prioritize the COVID patient in the hospital to minimize the spread of virus in Indonesia, to ensure there are no more outbreak of the COVID-19 to happen anymore in Indonesia. Okay, now going into my argument, and today's argument, the first argument is that how does it justify the motion? First, let's characterize the COVID-19. COVID-19 itself, it's a pandemic that only happened around one or any much chances. Like there haven't been a pandemic from years to years. There have been nearly 100 years from before, not 100, like there's been a long gap between the one pandemic and another pandemic. And this is an outbreak of a disease, which is the COVID-19, which strokes into your breathing access and stuff like that, which have affected Indonesia for nearly 1.5 years. So we have to take care of it. And then the second one is I'm going to characterize the hospital, which is a place for sick people. It doesn't matter if there is any sickness, if it's a pandemic, if it's just an ordinary sickness such as flu and stuff like that. Going to the third one is the spread of the virus, which is an outbreak of a virus. Looking at the characteristic of the citizens in Indonesia, the citizens have a right to get treated and to live like they used to, like before the pandemic, with the government responsibility to ensure the well-being of the whole country. How does it stop the spread? How does this motion can stop the spread? First, this will prioritize a hospital, and they will be isolated from other healthy people who are not infected, and they would recover approximately faster or in a steady move without ups and downs comparing during to their self-isolation, because there would be medical teams such as the doctors and nurses who is in their field, and like they already understand what it is, so they know how to move and they can take chances faster. And then with doctors and nurses around, they would be able to get the right treatment with the right equipment, which further can increase the chances of the chance of being recovered from the virus. And by recovering from the virus, the people who have recovered can then donate their plasma to resolve more COVID-19 cases, which are severe, and prevent the spreading or prevent the increasement of the breakout, because they are isolated with no chances of being physically contacted because of the regulation, which they must wear the self-protected mask. Going into my second one, how would this further impact the government regarding the money? First, all of the citizens in Indonesia have a help card called BPJS, which can be used to reduce the bill. So when you say that it will be a burden for the patient, we have already said to you there is BPJS, which can be helped. And then all people then which could lead into all the people and the patient will be equal because of the help from the BPJS or the government, so they can get treated equally with the same equipment. And then furthermore, with the same equipment, furthermore, there will be no more money that must be or would be allocated by the government, because there's already BPJS. allocated by the government for their own health, and then the government can then focus on the other aspect, which is also important. For example, the government can focus on helping the bansos. The bansos is actually a help from the government for all of the citizens in Indonesia. And it can increase the well-being of the uninfected people, because uninfected and infected people is the same. They have the same right to live a better life. And then if the bansos stuff can be given by the government equally, which then could lead into the people, the uninfected people, not have to, like, it doesn't mean that they can't work. It means that they can help themselves in actually receiving all of the health equipment which is needed, such as a mask, such as hand sanitizer and stuff like that, which is needed to, if you want to go outside. And further, it would reduce the spread of COVID-19. And by reducing the spread of COVID-19 from both of the sides, we believe that this motion could really help Indonesia to reduce the spread of it, and further can stop the COVID-19 in Indonesia with a much quicker timeline. That's all. That's why we propose this motion. Thank you.
Okay, the first speaker of the government team spent 7 minutes and 17 seconds. Next, to begin the cause of the opposition, I call upon the first speaker of the opposition team, Inas. The time is yours.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So my debate starts in 3, 2, 1. So we think that the government team doesn't understand with the motion. How could they bring mechanism into the motion? So first, I will bring one rebuttals. I'll bring one rebuttals for the government team. They said that BPJS is needed for the society, but I think that we think that with or without this card, people still have to get better treatment of COVID to have the personal isolation at home. But we think to not overflooding the hospital, we want to decrease the burden of nurse. And also we want to because we want to decrease the burden of the nurse and the doctor will be what's that, more tangible, but people still have the better treatment and doctor to control certain speakers. And also the BPJS is reportedly has failed to give this kind of treatment because there are so many manipulation data or even the the lack of funds and budgeting for the coming to the society, Mr. Speaker. So I think that BPJS is actually problematic to handle this kind of cases, Mr. Speakers. And also we think that based on their proposal and mechanism, it will only create double job of hospital or even nakes, which is actually in the status quo. Under the status quo right now, many hospital has already collapsed, Mr. Speakers. They said that they keep saying that Indonesians, the people in the citizens should go to the hospital in Indonesia, but I think that the hospital could be overflooded and also collapsing, and will be the unhygiene places to all the patients and also nakes, speakers. And this will create more damage both for the healthcare and also for the patients. Okay, I will bring 3 arguments. The first one is we really want to save the life of patients and healthcare, and the second one. We will bring the idea of isolate, and the second one we will avoiding the hospital collapse, and the third one is the right it's the right of the patient to get better facilities is still exists, for the speakers. Okay, under the status quo now is actually enough, for the speakers. Government is we will still bring the idea of self-isolation, the speakers. So in the motion they said that the patients will only prioritize the patients in the hospital, but I think that the idea of self-isolate should be considered, Mr. Speakers. So I think based on the WHO and also support by the government, under the government, patients still get support by the government, and also get the facilities for the patients even in their houses. And I think that this is actually not only for, this is actually widely for developing countries, Mr. Speakers, and also they also still get the vitamin and also medicines coming from the hospital and government for these patients, Mr. Speakers, and also my stance is really clear, Mr. Speakers, because the first is that we want to save the life of the patients and healthcare. As I said before, there will be overcapacity and there will be overflooded for the hospital coming from the coming from the patients, Mr. Speakers. So I think that by by welcoming all these kind of patients and also by not limiting the patients in the hospital with this kind of disaster, it will damage the hospital, also the healthcare, Speakers. So I think that because we want to uphold the hygiene of the hospital and make it the places we want to come and get the treatment, I think that we should consider the idea of self-isolating. Welcome to my first argument, because they will we want to uphold the idea of the self-isolate. Patients but it's still under the patient's self-consent that they still have right to choose whether they want to self-isolate or they want to have some house isolation, or they want to get it in the hospital. So we still uphold the right of the patients. And also because of the overflooded of hospital, we it's better for them to be sent at home, because we are sure that their houses is more hygienic and more emotionally supported by their family, so that it will fasten the recovery of the patients. And also because I believe the opposite team will say that they still need the facilities that maybe the hospital still have more complex facilities. But I think that under the status quo, based on the study of the WHO, that about 1,000 people so far is more comfy to be recovered in their houses, Speakers, because it's more hygiene and it actually comfort for them, Speakers. And also we need internet and external support from family and also neighbors to support their kind of recovery, Speakers. And the second one is that they want to avoid in hospital collapse. Okay, because there are so many patients coming to the hospital. For example, we really want to minimize limited welcoming the patients. We really want to send them into house because we don't want them to be overflooding in the hospital. Another status quo now is that they use the parking lot or even storage room or even truck to take this kind of patients, and they don't have any the hospital is actually low-key district distract the right of the patient to get the better places to be cared of, the Speaker. So I think that by giving them by sending them home to self-isolate, I think that this will uphold the right of the patients to be take care of, the Speakers. And also welcome to my third argument. The right patient to get better facilities still exists, because now we have self-isolate package, which actually you could access from houses or even from hotels. So this is actually widespread for middle lower patients and also for middle upper patients, that they actually have they still have the under supervision of the doctors, and also they still get the medicine and also the vitamins. And now we have the aids from the government that it calls telemedicine, where we can actually contact the doctors online, and we can have the medical checkup online, for example, twice a day or whenever you want, Speakers. Okay. When we are talking about athlete, when we are talking about Wisma Athlete, it means that when we're talking about Wisma Athlete, why do we move them into Wisma Athlete? Because the hospital itself is overflooding, and this is why the government is not ready to move all the patients into the hospital, Mr. Speakers. Okay, because of the first one is that we really want to uphold the idea of the self-isolation, and the second one we want to avoid the hospital flooding, and the second and the third one.
Okay, Nas, your time is over. Okay. The first speaker of the opposition team spent 7 minutes and 29 seconds. Next, I call upon the second speaker of the government team, Ayu Vira. The time is yours. Ayu Vira, are you there?
Am I audible?
Oh, yes, you are.
I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. I want to clarify English debate today. In this motion, this House believes that prioritizing COVID patients in the hospital help minimize the spread of the virus in Indonesia. As we know, the world is currently being attacked are severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, SARS-CoV-19 2. Is a virus that attacks the respiratory system. The disease caused by this viral infection is called COVID. Coronavirus can cause mild disorders of the respiratory system, several lung infection, and even death. Cases of this virus have even caused some people in the world to die. Many cases where it is difficult for them to reduce the spread of the spread of COVID in the world, starting from lockdown. This has made several countries implement policies to impose a lockdown in order to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. I will explain again what is coronavirus. Coronavirus is a collection of viruses that can infect the respiratory infection, such as the flu. However, this virus can also cause several respiratory infection, such as lung infection, pneumonia. This virus can also be transmitted through droplets from the respiratory tract. For example, when in a crowded crossroom with poor air circulation or direct contact with droplets. The rise of COVID has also caused many cases of patients in hospital to reach the maximum number. Of course, health workers must prioritize patients who are in the hospital. I will explain in my argument later. Okay, they said hospital will flat and lead to unhygienic hospital. We say no because we asked the government explain that health workers prioritize patients who are really infected with COVID and for those who still show symptoms, the athlete can be placed in an Wisma Athlete overcrowded. And then they said when they said patient be contacting online for the really infected people, it won't be too late for the the night treatment. Ladies and gentlemen, I will explain my argument. Okay, with health workers prioritizing COVID patients, the spread of the virus will also be minimized because we see now the number of people who have been infected by the virus is very large. Even placed in hospital like mattresses are not enough for them. The virus even takes many lives in the world. We see a spike in COVID-19 cases outside Jawa, Bali. Data from the COVID-19 handling task force shows that there are 24,709 new cases of COVID-19 in one day. Since the first case was announcement by President Joko Widodo on March 2020, patients recover, and this within a day, the number of patients infected with the coronavirus increased by 36,000 people. However, the number of patients who died after being exposed to COVID-19 also continued to grow. If we prioritizing a patient in hospital, if
if we prioritizing patients in hospital who have been infected with COVID-19, this can minimize the eradication of COVID because hospital facilities are very affordable, such as medicine, oxygen, but we also have to see and have to think about people who have not been infected with the COVID. If we let COVID patients are not prioritized, there will be a possibility that COVID will spread. The COVID will spread the people who have not been infected. Health workers can even prioritizing patients by not allowing patients to leave the in patient room. Then we also see the impact if we prioritizing COVID-19. The government expenses or costs will also be minimized. Why? The number of cases in the world causing hospital to overflow or before the facilities needed will also issue more for handling this COVID, starting for mattress facilities, oxygen. If health workers prioritizing patients, it allow patients to experience healing and reduce hospital facilities. Okay, I am a government team. Thank you.
Okay. The second speaker of the government team spent 6 minutes and 6 seconds. Next, I call upon the second speaker of the opposition team. Shafa, the time is yours.
I would start my arguments in 3, 2, 1. Madam and Mr. Speaker, I would like to present my view under motion of this House believe that prioritizing COVID patient in the hospital help minimize the spread of the virus in Indonesia. With the stance of save the life of patient and the hygiene. With the status quo is enough and under the idea of support by the government like the SMAN and so on. My first speaker had already delivered their arguments, which are the first one, hospital collapse. The second one is the idea of SMAN, and the third one is the right of the patient to get better. And I also bring 2 arguments to support my first speaker. The first one is status quo is enough, and the second one is the house is more comfortable place. Before I start to deliver my arguments, I would like to rebut the second speaker of the government team. We concede that this COVID virus killing and burdening, but the focus of recovery and to reduce the outbreak, we believe that we want that all the burden to recover the pandemic is not all given to the frontliners like the doctor, nurse, but all part of people, especially family. The support of family is important, especially when they are having house isolation and they still get the treatment, medicine, and vitamin. No, later. And the second rebuttal is the big disaster of the pandemic is the collapse of hospital and the overburden of nurse and doctor. We believe that prioritizing patients to send them to a spatial room isolation in the hospital is important, and the facility are needed. But again, under the proposal everything, we will work well. Now let's come to my first argument. The status quo is enough, even improving, because the government had support SMAN by sending the health workers to each houses and also sending the groceries to each houses and the support money. And even the Madam and Mr. Speaker, even the WHO or World Health Organization had agreed that the isolation is the best way to cope the virus. And many governments have mandated or recommended isolation for entire population. Let's come to my second argument. The house is more comfortable place to get treatment. Because the patient can get more hygiene compared to the public place, for example, hospital, and they can get support from the family, which is it will bring good to the patients. And also we can avoid the change of new outbreak in a hospital. For the uninfected hospital, for the uninfected member of family or people. I tried to bring a case in a Malang by the number of 1,634 patients of COVID are not reactive of COVID-19 after the isolation or home treatment. And meanwhile, there is a significant increasing of data from the patient that get treatment from the hospital of hospital. The numbers show that there are 20 people that died in the hospital and the same time and in the same time and the very same place. Also, there is a control from the health workers. For example, the health workers are sent from the hospital and they will come to each houses to control the patients. That is why house is the perfect place to treat the COVID-19 patients. And let's come to my third arguments. They get better facility in-house. For example, there is an online checkup and such as the telemedicine that my first speaker had already mentioned. And the telemedicine is guaranteed by the government. They can give receipt of the medicine, and also they can set the time or money for the people that get infected by the COVID without having contact with the people such as in the hospital. Because of that, Madam and Mr. Speaker, we really oppose this motion.
Okay. The second speaker of the opposition team spent 5 minutes and 7 seconds. Next, I call upon the third speaker of the government team, Niken Harini. The time is yours.
So, am I audible?
Can you speak it loudly?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Firstly, ladies and gentlemen, they misunderstand about the main point for our stance is for minimalize. I said minimalize and to protect the society from the infected patient. And next, going to my rebuttal, they said that the hospital will always be used during the pandemic and it will be overflowed because of many patients. Realize that the government not only provide the hospital for the patient of the COVID, they also provide a 30 house for them, for example. And we also know that patient who have been in hospital is the patient who have struggling and suffer, not only infected by COVID. So by keeping and prioritizing, it can be helpful and effective to minimize spreading the virus, ladies and gentlemen. And they said that it would be a burden for the doctor and the nurses, but isn't it their jobs, which is why they are paid? Why are they talking about that people when we are talking about stopping the spread of COVID-19? So, going to my places, which might be better to create minimalize spread of the virus in Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, we can see the current status quo right now that many cases of coronavirus in hospital. So in this motion, that it will be give many positive impact to give the solution about the problem, ladies and gentlemen. I will explain you why you must be our side. Firstly, let's talk about the patient who will be the main cause of the spread of the virus. We can minimize spread of the virus by keeping the main cause of the rapid spread of the virus. Realize that patient who have been in hospital, it means that the patient have suffering about the COVID. We can solve two problems by following our stance. And for example, the patient who have a congenital disease and they must to fight against the virus and realize that no one want to be infected with the virus and no one want to be the main cause of the spread of the virus itself. So by keeping and prioritizing the patient in the hospital can minimalize because of the hospital, the doctor and the patient itself just keeping the virus in hospital, not spreading it outside. So in this case, it will be helpful for the doctor, for the hospital, and for the patient itself will be the hero during the pandemic to be more effectively to stop the spread of the virus, right? This solution, it also can be helpful for the government to solve many problems during the pandemic, especially in economic sector. As we know that during the pandemic, that economic sector have been decreased. So by keeping the main of the cause of spread in the virus, it will be help the government to be not spending a lot of money and time to solve the virus's case. And realize that the government spending a lot money to resolve the case during the pandemic. For example, like spend a lot of money for COVID patients, such as fulfill the hospital facilities for COVID patients, right? So by keeping and prioritizing the patient in the hospital, it will be reduce the spread of the virus, and we can monitor the very fast spread of the virus, ladies and gentlemen. And for prioritizing this patient, we can also protect many people. I said many people, maybe you have congenital disease, or maybe also uninfected people or health people itself. It's so much be helpful for minimize the spread of the virus, ladies and gentlemen. And if you think that unprivileged people cannot get the treatment of them who didn't have money enough to get it, the government also give many profile, such as like my first speaker said, we can use BPJS. If you think that they also cannot get same treatment like privileged people, but realize that our main point is can be minimize spread of the viruses. Even it not also get the same treatment, our stand is to minimize the spread by keeping the patient. It can be so helpful for the hospital itself, the doctor, the government, and also the society itself, ladies and gentlemen. And we see that, and they said that the opposite team said that patient can be get facilities at home. We say no. We see that the facilities at home are not as many as in hospital, such as complete oxygen and medicine. If the patient is just isoman at home, what if at any time the patient lack oxygen? What if at any time the patient lacks of oxygen? This will not be overcome other by using oxygen cylinders. If at home, the family will also get the impact, for example, being infected. And cost a lot of money because of that isoman and not in a hospital. And that's why we support this motion. Thank you.
Okay, the third speaker of the government team spent 6 minutes and 35 seconds. Next, I call upon the third speaker of the opposition team, Alia. The time is yours.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right, I will start from 3, 2, 1. So, Madam and Mr. Speaker, what is going on is in this debate is that my first and second speaker has already told you about our argument, which is the first is we want to bring the idea of self-isolation, and the second one, we want to we don't want hospital to be crowded or collapse. And then the third one is that we think that the the status quo is enough. And then the fourth one is we think that the house is more of a comfortable place to do treatment. And then the last one is we think that that there is still the right of patient to have better medication. Okay. And the opponents team also bring out several arguments, such as the idea of hospitalization and the spread of virus and etc. In this debate, there is one clash, which is whether or not we believe that we should prioritize COVID patient in hospital to help minimize the spread of virus in Indonesia. We think no, and I will glorify my speaker's argument. But before that, welcome to my rebuttal. Okay, first off, they say that if we put the COVID patient in hospital, the virus won't go anywhere. We strongly disagree because COVID is everywhere, Madam and Mr. Speaker. It will not stop the spreading of this virus even if we put them in the hospital. And then they also say that BPJS will cover the medical bill. But what if BPJS doesn't cover it? What will the people do if BPJS doesn't cover it? We think that with or without their card, people still have to get better treatment to COVID. And we think, to not overflooding the hospital, the decreasement of burden of nurses and doctor will be tangible. People still have better treatment and controlled by the doctor. We convince that this COVID virus is killing and burdening, but the focus recovery and to reduce the outbreak, we believe that we want all the burden to recover the pandemic. It's not all given to the frontliners like doctor and nurses, but all people, especially family. The support of family is important, especially when they are having house isolation. They also still get treatment and medication and vitamins. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that prioritizing patient to send them to special isolating room in the hospital is important, and the facilities are needed. But again, under our proposal, everything will work out just fine. Now, I want to clarify the arguments of my speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, hospitals are already overflowed. The World Health Organization even recommend us to do self-isolation because the hospital are already overflowed. Even there's a case where a hospital took care of their patient in storage room and parking lots, and we cannot know if it's actually hygiene or safe or not. Isn't it much better if they're at home? It's more hygiene, and their family will be near to support them physically and morally. And also, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people are also cured by self-isolation. They can still have online consultation by the doctors and the hospital staff. They are also given free medicine from the hospital under the government's There's also a isolation package, like I just said, that can be used at home or at hotels. And by all of this means, we really oppose the motion. Okay, based on the data of the Kemenkes, 30,000 people can be cured from self-isolation. So that's why we really think that self-isolation can work, and we really oppose this motion. Thank you.
Okay. The third speaker of the opposition team spent 5 minutes and 51 seconds. Next, I call upon the reply speaker of the opposition team, Inas. Time is yours. For Inas?
Yeah, Kak. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I will start my reply speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, when we are talking about facilities, they're talking about the lack of oxygen, but I think that there has been subsidy coming from the government that they don't have to get oxygen from hospitals, so they actually could get the oxygen to their houses, and they don't need to go to the hospitals and speakers. And I think, and we think, based on their proposal and mechanism, it will only create double job of hospital or even healthcare, which is actually under status quo right now. Many hospital has already collapsed, but they keep talking that they should have quarantine everyone's in the hospital. It means that, comparing to our arguments, I already clarified that there will be overflooding coming from the society, and also imagine if every patient's coming to the hospital and have to quarantine inside the hospital as speakers. And also, we believe that by prioritizing patient to send them to special room isolation in the hospital is important, and then the facilities are needed. But again, under our proposal, everything will work well to the speakers, because government has already support, for example, the telemedicine that they actually have a new technologies, and we could actually having online checkup, which actually could save money and also save time. And talking about the budgeting of speakers, the hospital is actually the quarantines, also the caring of this patient is actually still burdening the society because of the budget of speakers. We couldn't guarantee that the one who actually got COVID is only for the middle upper classes. So by having self-isolation at home and receiving free medical and free medicines and free vitamins, but under supervision of the doctors, it will give advantages to the middle lower patients and speakers. And so we concede that this COVID virus is really killing and burdening, but the focus of recovery and to reduce the outbreaks. And we believe that we want that all the burden to recover the pandemic is not all given to the frontliners, doctors and nurses, but all part of people, especially family. So the one who actually handling this kind of disaster is not only by hospital or by doctors or nurses, but also by the society and speakers. We really want to break this stereotyping that when we, for example, getting the disease, ordinary disease, or even COVID-19, that we should get everything to hospital speakers. And we really believe that we don't want to burden the hospital and also the government. So by the idea of self-isolate is really a best solution for them to stop the stereotyping speakers. And also, the support of family is important, especially when they are having house isolation, because they should have external motivation and also internal motivation. That external motivation is only earned by the family when they are feeling comfortable, and also feeling comfortable and fastening recovery, Mr. Speakers. And also they're talking about BPJS of the society. But we think that with or without this card, people still have to get a better treatment COVID to have personal isolation at home. But we think to not overflooding the hospital and decrease the burden of nurse and doctor will be more tangible. And people still have better treatment and controlled by the government, Mr. Speakers. And also the BPJS is actually failed, Mr. Speakers. BPJS these days limit the number of diseases to be take care of, and also the BPJS, what is that? The BPJS for disease registration is always increasing. That not every kind of classes, not every kind of society could afford the BPJS, Speakers, and also the income of the BPJS is keep decreasing, Speakers. So I think that because of this kind, because we want to avoid this kind of problems for long term, we still oppose the motion.
Okay, the time is over. The reply speaker of the opposition team spent 4 minutes and 21 seconds. Next, I call upon the reply speaker of the government team, Atia Faika. The time is yours.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. In this debate today, I will clarify 3 things from the other side of the team. First, they say that it would be a burden and it would be a burden for the nurses and the doctors, but realize it is their job. Like they have to do it. It's why they get paid. Why they get paid to help them to resolve this problem. And it's like one of like the fight, like the war area of the doctor. It's their war area. For example, like if it's for TNI, the area would be the battleground. So for the doctors, it would be the hospital. It doesn't make sense when they say that it would reduce the burden of nurses and doctors. Going to my second clarify, the BPJS, when they say the BPJS cannot resolve it, and there's a lot of stuff like that, we say to you that there are many stages. There have been stages, for example, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 1 being the lowest thing. Even though they don't get the same type of treatment as the stage 4 or stage 5, they can still get like the basic needs. The basic needs, for example, the oxygen or maybe their beds, and the nurses and the hospital and the doctors help. And then the third one is the online checkup. The online checkup term, when you say, is that when you are at home, because we say that we are prioritizing the people who are severely infected. That's why when you say that it will happen when when they say that they want to do a checkup with that people, think about it. When you're already severe and you're gonna be at home, you wouldn't get in time to the hospital. For example, people who are in the villages and stuff like that, they wouldn't get enough of time to actually go into the hospital and get treated rightly. And then going into my rebuttal, which is also the other team, I don't know why they do this, but they have stated their stances, their goals, and their status quo in their second speaker, which is supposed to be in the first speaker at first time. And then going into my rebuttal, the other team have talked about the hygienic of an overflooded hospital. But let me remind you once again, in our team, we have said to you that in the hospital, it will only be people who are severely infected, and not just for the people who only give symptoms. For example, they're coughing, for example, they're for the flus and stuff like that. They would get treated in a different area, which is the Wisma Athletic, and it's not gonna be a burden. And it will allow hospital to have more spaces. Going into my clashes, and today I will bring one clashes, which is which side better to minimize the spread of COVID-19, either the SMAN or the BPJS. First, on the other side of the of the team talking about the SMAN, they talk about that they can get the oxygen from the hospital and then bring it to home. Doesn't that cost more money? Doesn't that cost money as well? And when they say that hospital, they can be much better at home because of their family and stuff like that, but they cannot get in contact with each other, because like it's the same thing as you going into people who are infected, and you're gonna get infected and spread more COVID-19. Whether like in our side, comparing to in our side, we think that by going to the hospital, they can get the right treatment. They can get the right treatment from the right person, from the doctors and the nurses, which is their job. And then if they want to say they cannot get in contact, they can still FaceTime each other. Like even at home, they would FaceTime each other. They cannot meet physical contact because they don't have APD, because APD would cost more money. And then if at the hospital, if they want to talk to each other, they can still wear the APD, which is free from the hospital, to actually talk to each other. And that's why we should win this debate. Thank you.
Okay, the reply speaker of the government team spent 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Thank you all participants. Now we have 10 minutes for verbal adjudication. I would like to invite the first adjudicator, Ms. Zahwa Maula. Please give your verbal adjudication.
No, I'm not the first adjudicator to be spoken. It's supposed to be Ferin. I'm the last one, and the second one is Faisal.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
For the first adjudicator, Ms. Ferinda Khairunisa.
Thank you very much, Ms. Moderator. Well, what a debate. That was nice. So I have some points that I want to state it out for all the delegates. Some of them, the first one is about the time, all right? I'm gonna go straight to my points. I'm sorry because we have a limited time. Watch out about the time, delegates, because it's really crucial. When you have more time to talk, you better talk about it. Anything about your arguments. Try to go straight into the details about your arguments. Use as much time as you could, but not too much. Like this, fine. Just use it as best as you could. Second one, about POI. Try to do more of POIs and try to accept the POIs. It would be an addition points for your team, actually. The third one, about consistency. Make sure that you have a consistent legal standing, something like your argument points among your team. The first, second, third speaker, make sure that you have a consistent arguments. Do not make one another seem like you're inconsistent about your arguments. And then the fourth point here that I stated is try to avoid framing other teams' arguments, like try to listen carefully to what they stated. Do not try to make them as if they said something that they didn't. Avoid that framing. Aside from that, I would like to remind all the speakers as well that in closing statement, there should not be additional points of your arguments. Like you just need to sum up all of your arguments that are already stated on the first, second, and third speakers. Do not try to add more arguments on the closing statement. And then moving on to each of the teams, I'm gonna give a verbal adjudication overall. As I said, it's because of the time, guys. So for the government team, actually, I'm really impressed by your team's way of delivering your speech, and it was really nice hearing out how you stated it with gestures and facial expressions. And I like it that you guys keep on using your arguments data-based. Like you keep on supporting what you said with a factual data. That is a very good point that you did there. But there's a note that I would like to remind for the three speakers of the government team, which is try to explore more of your argument. Like for example, when you try to say that patients at home are lacking of oxygen, try to provide a concrete data where this happened and how this happened. Try to add some points about that. And then for the opposition team, actually, you guys already done a good job as well for bringing up about the policies made by the international organization WHO and also the government. But it will be even better if the speakers try to explore again and explain more and going into details about What kind of policies is this and why this is crucial for your team to bring up and support your argument? I guess that's all from me. Thank you very much and good luck for our speakers. Moving on to my friend, Faisal.
Okay, thank you. So I will be straightforward for the SMA Kotagajah and then SMA Quran Darul Fatah. Three things that I would like to bring. First is the burden proof that you need to bring in this debate. Second is about the weaknesses in each of the team, and lastly the clashes that I will like to bring. That this is my consideration whether or not I will give my victory point to SMA Quran Darul Fatah or SMA Kotagajah. And then the first is burden of proof. This debate is not talking about whether or not the patient needs to go to hospital or self to the house, but we talk about whether or not hospital need to be prioritized the patient of COVID-19 or not. So in this debate, affirmative side of the house need to say the urgent thing. Why do we need to prioritize the patient, or the opposition side of the house can say like any other solution to minimize COVID-19, but not prioritizing the patient in hospital. You can see in the COVID-19 development in Indonesia or other illness development that you need to prioritize. Second, you need to also know health institution capacity in Indonesia. I mean, both side of the house didn't very realistic in giving argument, and then live in utopia where Indonesia can able to provide any oxygen and etc. While in the status quo, I think like the case is different. And then lastly, I guess that you need to know government regulation about how government know or not prioritize the COVID-19 case or not. For the affirmative side of the house, I see that the biggest weakness in affirmative of a government is you are too defensive with your mechanism. I cannot see priority definition in your side of the house because you say like you are going to prioritize COVID-19 case, but there are several cases, and then there are several things that you want to provide to any other illness patient. I cannot see clearly what kind of prioritization that you want to bring in this debate. And then second, you also circle in one idea and other, but there is no further explanation. While in the opposition side of the house, not engaging with the affirmative side, and then cannot still need to bring more stakeholders in this debate, not only family and then patient. So moving on to my clash, which is which the consideration whether or not that I will give my victory point to the opposition or affirmative. My clash is whether it is necessary to prioritize COVID-19 patient under these circumstances to minimize COVID-19 with current facilitation in Indonesia. Affirmative side say COVID-19 outbreak number is still increased, patient grow more and more, and then there is cases in Bali and 36,000, and then government responsibility to fulfill the right of society for their basic needs, which is health, and then there are BPJS to provide this kind of mechanism. It's also frontliner job, which is nurse and doctor, to go extra miles for minimize the COVID-19 case. And then lastly, they keep the main cause to the hospital with adequate facilitation. While in opposition say, no, it's everyone's responsibility. It's not only nurse and doctor, but also family and also their own relative and etc. And also hospital will be collapsed and overflow if we only prioritize in the hospital. Because case compared to the self-isolation, hospital bring more bed, and then in hospital, patient can also be infected, and also not hygiene enough, like there are some patients in parking lot and etc. Also, they say like self-isolation is better because recommendation from WHO and Ministry of Health by their data, and also case in Malang where the self-isolation is more effective than in the hospital. And then they also say like in the self-isolation, you will get support by the family and feel comfortable more than in the hospital. And lastly, they say like there is a package to facilitate COVID-19 patient in self-isolation. So based on that clash, I will give the victory point, and it's no secret. And yeah, good luck for your journey, and see you guys in the closing ceremony, and very best luck of you. Thank you.
Okay. The last adjudicator, Miss Zawa Maula. Time for you.
Okay, thank you, Vidya, for the time. Anyway, my fellow educators already educated you very good and very comprehensive. I guess I don't have many things to add, but okay, let's start from. I think because I don't have many things uh, to comment, I will start from the motion first. Yes, I super agree with Faisal that the government has failed to define the prioritizing definition. Like, how can you prioritize COVID patients? How it become how of the amount? How much? Like, maybe you can say that blah 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 percent of the capacity of all the patients will be for COVID patients in every hospital or in fully facilitated hospital or such, that you have to that's the role of government anyway, to break the all of the keywords down of the motions, like we have privatizing as the keywords and also minimalize also the keywords, that you really have to define the definition and also the benchmark or the threshold for each keyword of the motions. But gladly, the opposition team maybe didn't realize regarding to the keywords that's supposed to be measured or supposed to be defined. So that's the first point. Second one, I want to put my attention to the rebuttals that uh, has been debated in this debate. First, it attracts me regarding to the data from opposition, the first speaker of the opposition team. You said that BPJS reportedly has failed in dealing or in tackling the COVID issues because of something, but you didn't give the clear clear sources or clear data, clear evidence regarding to this. While if BPJS has failed, then how could you know? Where could you know? And that's why the government didn't see any failure from BPJS because they're government. So you as opposition, you have to state the source where the BPJS has already failed. That's only a small example regarding to the evidence or data that you should put when you are speaking. Okay, next, the main point of opposition team is house isolation or self-isolation is more hygiene anyway. Like the first, it's very consistent from first until third speaker speaks about the hygiene thing as one of their main arguments. Anyway, this has been failed being answered by the government regarding to the hygiene. Like we know that hospital is actually is not as hygiene as house, and it's and that's why I didn't see any clarify or any defense or anything that can compare or can guarantee the patient could have a hygienity or a sanity is more cleaner or better than the house itself. And then this is something that I think more interested when the third government of this the third speaker of the government team said that by only consulting in telemedicine, the government said that it cannot be helped because they actually is not fully equipped. So when they already think that they need an oxygen, or suddenly the condition is worsened and they lack of oxygen, how could they manage the situation if they are not in the hospital or such? And the opposition team doesn't aware regarding to that argument from the government. So the first speaker of the opposition team didn't clarify this urgent thing, I guess, regarding to the condition of how the patient is getting worsened and how the patient can actually tackle it by themselves if they are in self-isolation or such. Actually, you can say that the family can help, or the surroundings, a neighborhood can help or such. You can say anything like that actually, but you end up didn't mention anything regarding to reply that argument of the government team or opposition team. And also I want to highlight regarding to the reply speech that has been said by Farin. Like I saw that 2 of reply speakers here are bringing new arguments, and also as you can see, all the participants that and for your information as well, that reply speech is only for summarizing, that you cannot add any new arguments that such as the first the government team who even doing rebuttal in reply speech, which is very prohibited. And for the third speaker of the reply speech of the opposition, you also said something that's supposed to be said by the third speaker actually regarding to the oxygen subsidy that has not been said by your previous speakers. It cannot be said by you because it's a new argument. And yeah, I guess that's all for the reply speech. And next time, I guess you have to be aware regarding to the mechanism and also the technical regulations for each speakers in debate competition. Okay, I guess thank you. I'm sorry for taking a bit long time.
Okay, thank you, fellow educators, for an amazing verbal education. Congratulations to all debaters, and thank you to the educators. The announcement of the winner will be announced at the closing ceremony of Iron 2021. I hereby close this round. And last, please turn on your camera and we will take a screenshot for our memory. Okay, I count 3, 2, 1. Nice. All right. Thank you, everyone. Good luck.
Thank you, everyone. Good luck. Thank you, Varian. Thank you, Faisal. See you in the next round.
Thank you, educator.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you too, Kak. See you.
Selamat siang Kak Adjudicator, Kak Zahwa dan Kak Faisal.